Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of the Ethical Weightlifting Podcast. We have myself, Santo Lifts, as one of the hosts, as well as Morgan McCullough here. Um, yeah, we decided to do this like a couple of days ago, and we're putting it into fruition, I guess. And I have to say, it's probably a little bit long overdue. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we've known each other for like 4 years and then we've never discussed it until like 2 days ago.
Right. We'll get more into like I guess why we're doing this. But I want to start out and say just how much like weightlifting and strength sports have been booming throughout, social media, stuff like that. I was at work the other day bartending and we somehow got talking about like, what we do on the side of besides working. And my manager was like, dude, it's crazy how how much weightlifting and powerlifting have been blowing up and stuff. And that's coming from someone that's just like has no involvement in it in the state of Florida here. Um, I mean, what's your take on that? What do you think about that?
I mean, I love it. Before it was just like CrossFit. Anybody in CrossFit knew what weightlifting was, but they didn't really know like how much you could do with it. They were just like, oh, we know the weightlifting movements. We know squat, bench, deadlift. We know snatch, clean, and jerk, but they don't really know what you can get from it. But now it's like with social media and things like that, it's expanding. You'll see people at Crunch Fitness doing a 225 clean and jerk getting 500,000 views on it, and people can kind of see like what we do, and then they can expand on that and be like, "Oh, you can compete in it. It's in the Olympics and all that." And it's like you see it everywhere now, besides just in a CrossFit gym or a weightlifting gym.
For sure. And like if you have someone, you tell someone that you do Olympic lifting, and like how many times does someone ask you how much do you bench, how much do you deadlift?
It, at least 1,000, maybe
Yeah.
even more. Anytime I say I weightlift, it's always what do you bench or something of that nature.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully the tides are turning on that, and that's kind of the purpose of what we're doing here is to try and expand on the different platforms, I guess, that we're trying to push weightlifting content. But yeah, let's start out with some introductions. Starting with you, how did you find weightlifting?
And I found weightlifting when I was 6 years old. My parents got into CrossFit, or mainly my mom, and it was in a tiny little baseball facility in Dothan, Alabama. And I started doing like, I guess, speed and agility work, and then slowly it progressed to doing like a CrossFit style weightlifting where it was like really terrible looking snatches and really terrible clean and jerks that no one knew what the sport was. It was just like, oh, these are CrossFit movements. And then we moved along to it, and it was like probably when I was 7 that I found out that you can compete in weightlifting. I did my first little like mock weightlifting meet, and I fell in love with it. So I just kept going with it.
Yeah, it's funny you say, I forget you told me that it was in a baseball gym because that's kind of how I found weightlifting was through baseball when I was 14 years old. So not as young as you were, but it's kind of when I guess sports got serious throughout middle school to school. You started lifting weights in high school, and for me in Minnesota, we had Olympic lifting as like a sanctioned high school sport, and that was the first year that like my high school put out a team to compete going into, like local meets up to like the state meet and stuff. I had no idea about it. I feel like that's probably one of the more unique circumstances around finding the sport is just walking into a weight room in high school, really. You can only do that in Minnesota and Florida for the most part.
Yeah.
But I mean, I walked into the weight room, I was like, I need to get stronger for baseball. And then the strength coach was also the coach of the inaugural weightlifting team at that time. 2016 was the first year that we basically put together a team for that. And that was my winter sport throughout high school. And then fast forward to graduating college, I just kept with it. I mean, I have a lot of fun competing, training, going to nationals and stuff. That it's just something that stuck with me. So yeah, I mean, you started when you were 6 years old, and you're 22 now. So what's that?
Yep.
16 years?
Yeah, 16 years. I was turning 7 when I started, so I say 15 all the time, but I think we're pushing the 16 mark now. It's it's getting up
That's
there.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, starting in 2016,
Mm.
um, summer of 2016, I guess. So I say I'm pushing a decade in the sport now, even though it's really been 9 years. But I mean, between you and I, we've
Yeah,
got,
just round up.
yeah, between you and I, we've got over 25 years of involvement in the sport for,
Just crazy.
yeah, being 20, 21, 23 years old here. Um, so yeah, what was your first national event? Like, how old were you? What year was that?
So I qualified for nationals from 7 to 11, but I didn't do my first one until 2016. Funny story. I did not think I was good enough to go to nationals. So I just didn't go for 4 years. And then one day, Travis Mash, my old coach, he was like, you know what, we're going to nationals. It was my first year and he was like, or it was my first year at Mash and he was like, yeah, you're pretty good. You can go and you can win or you can medal. So it was in Austin Youth Nationals 2016 and I went and I won the snatch, but I had no clue I won the snatch. I just like there was kids there, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I made two snatches." And then I go to clean and jerk. I was like, "I'm following myself." I didn't know what following myself meant. I didn't know if I was first or last, but then I happened to break an American record and win the meet by 40 kilos, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Yeah, so you were just there to lift weights and let Travis kind of handle that business, and you were just there lifting weights,
Yeah,
not knowing what's going on. So
I had no
what was
clue of
that?
how good I did.
Yeah, so that was U11 or U13 nationals.
I was U13. I was 12, I think.
So you could have gone to U11 nationals as a 7-year-old.
Well, back then there was no U11 national, so
Oh, that's fair.
it was all based off like body weight back then. So if you could total your body weight in your weight class, you could go to nationals. They've made it harder now, so it's a little more cool if you make nationals, but back then it was like, anybody can go if you just say your body weight.
Yeah. Yeah, so my first nationals was 2019 junior nationals,
Mm,
and
mm.
we looking back at it now, we shared a platform warming up
No, we did. I
for
had
it.
no idea.
Yep. Um, so that was, yeah, 2019 in Chicago, February. I was still in high school. I was just there just because, like, I'm qualified and I kind of want to see what that experience is about. There was a little bit of push within, because it was during the high school season. There was a little bit of push for those that were qualified for nationals to do it. Um, I mean, obviously, it was there's monetary constraints and stuff, but a couple of us were able to work it out and kind of experience that. And I think I finished fifth with like a 250 total or something. And you medaled, right?
Attaboy. I got second with a 310 to Jaden Washington.
Yeah. So I mean, you kind of smoked me there, but that was also 2019. That was also like the Pan Am trials too. So Jason Bonnick was competing and a couple other people were.
Yeah, we had we had a few good guys in there. At least I didn't know that that was happening. So when I saw Bonnick in the back room, I was like, "What's going on?" Like, because I mean, it's junior nationals, but I saw like everybody was there, but it wasn't like a thing. It was like, so I didn't know how I did because I didn't know if this was like something different. But then me and Jaden were talking, and he was like, "No, they're just here for something different." Oh, cool! I can still medal.
Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of like eye-opening for me because all I had ever experienced was local weightlifting meets within
Mm,
Minnesota and North Dakota. So to see for like the top of the top guys at that time, like in my area that I had been exposed to, were probably, snatching 110, 120, clean and jerking 315 pounds, which was kind of like our milestone, but like
Hmm.
140 to 150 clean and jerks, and then I go into Chicago there, and we've got Jason Bonnick snatching in the 150s, clean and jerking in the 190s. So that was kind of eye-opening for me, and I guess I at least took that experience and never looked back on it. So yeah, what was fast forward to our first international meet? When was that for you? Probably before my first national meet.
2018 Youth
Yeah.
Pan Ams in Cali, Colombia. It was it was an interesting experience actually. We didn't have any pillows or blankets in our hotel, so we had to go find some just like in some the Columbia version of the Dollar General. Um, and it was the middle of June, and we had no, or we had a AC unit, but it wasn't. So our room was split into two, like we had a living room with two beds and then two beds in like the main room. And the AC unit was a hole cut out in the wall. So that
No
was
fan or
my
anything?
experience. No fan. The food was dry or undercooked. Um, Coach Ray Jones, CJ Cummings coach, brought hot sauce and everybody used it because there was no other way we were putting that food down. Um, but that was like my first experience was just kind of a terrible place. And Cali was cool, but the hotel was just like really bad. So that being my first experience, it was like if I can have fun here when people are just kind of suffering, sleeping, and just not enjoying anything, but then still go out and compete and do well, it's like every other international meet's going to be cake work, which it ended up being a very good meet for me.
So you're pretty gratified to be there at least with it being like your first international meet.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect going to South America. Like I had never left the country before until then. So it's like you kind of expect the worst. You don't expect a five-star hotel. So when you're going there, you kind of know what you're getting into. Um, but it's most Pan Ams. You've experienced Pan Ams. It's kind of just the way of the road with it.
Yeah, I mean the bar's on the floor when you're competing within Pan America and it's not the US or Canada, I guess. But
Mm.
yeah, so my first international meet was postponed due to COVID a couple of times, I think. It was 2021 Junior Worlds.
Ooh,
That
Romania,
was
right? Or
no, that
no, that was
was
20.
yeah, this wasn't postponed from 2020, but it was supposed to be in March and it ended up getting pushed to May. Um,
Oh yeah.
because it was going to be in Saudi Arabia in March, and then they had some ongoing COVID restrictions still, so they switched it to Uzbekistan in May. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so that was my first international experience, was basically just like a fast track right to a world championships, I guess. Um, it wasn't as terrible of a, I guess, host experience as you had in Cali, but um, yeah, it was the second time I've been out of the country, and it isn't exactly like a big tourist destination. So it was just really like weightlifting there, and you were there, and that was probably right about when we started vibing with each other, I guess.
Yeah, that was really our first conversations. Like we had met each other and we'd maybe DM'd a little bit, but
Hmm.
like that was when we really got to know each other, I feel like.
Yeah, and we shared a session. We pretty much hung out with each other outside of training and stuff. I mean, we had some pretty interesting experiences, I guess. Going to
Yeah.
the Nike store, I had some teammates with lost luggage, and we're trying to scramble and
Hmm.
help them out getting clothes and stuff for the few days that they're without anything.
And we made our way to a little farmer's market that we didn't buy anything from, but it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you go to anywhere outside of your own home country, and it's always just like kind of a cultural shock, or just like you don't necessarily know what to expect. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so that's where our story began, I guess, was in Uzbekistan in 2021. I mean, after that, I mean that for that year for me, I competed internationally four times, and I found even during COVID, even going into like my freshman year of no, sophomore year of college, I was still able to like put a lot of time into weightlifting. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, what was after that? I mean, you went back to Columbia. We went to Columbia in July, I think.
Yeah, we went Uzbekistan, Colombia, then you went to Mexico, and then we went back to Colombia.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, just for us, we're in the same weight class. We're kind of competitors at that time, really. I mean, I wouldn't say there was really much competitive spirit at that time because you were still out totaling me by
There was a little tension
15,
there,
20.
I feel
Yeah.
like. I felt you creeping up.
Yeah, I mean, I did beat you in the snatch, but then you blew me out of the water
We
by
tied.
like 50
We
kilos.
tied.
Yeah, but I hit it first though, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um nah. I mean, I feel like experiences like those, like we didn't turn it into a rivalry. Like we kind of took that as an opportunity to get better for ourselves, just as
I feel
athletes in
like
the
it
sport.
worked out. It
Oh
worked
yeah.
out in a way to where we had the few days before to kind of bond a little bit
Mm,
outside of weightlifting, like kind of get to know each other of what we do back home and just like you were going to play baseball and I was like doing my own stuff too. So we didn't really have like the weightlifting talks of like being rivals. It was like, oh, this dude's pretty cool. I want to see him win. I want to win. So let's just put it all out there and see who wins. So we never had that just like, oh, we hate each other because we're in the same weight class thing that some people have.
right. Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, it was pretty motivating with you being in front of me, I guess, by however many kilos it was, like numbers wise, like in the rankings and stuff. And um, I mean, yeah, I kind of took that with what it was, but at the same time, like, not necessarily like idolizing you, but kind of putting you on a pedestal as to what like the potential was for, two at the time 96-kilo lifters who were juniors, like what the potential is, I guess, kind of at that point in time. But yeah, that
Yeah.
summer too, it was your birthday. You had
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I took a trip
It's
down
my
to North
18th
Carolina.
birthday.
Yep. Spent a couple of days with you. Um, I remember we went to the batting cages because that was in
Hmm.
August, so I was kind of getting the body loosened up for fall
Yeah,
practice
you
for
were in prep.
baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like the bat and the radar gun, stuff like that, just trying to see where I was at with that, and took a couple hacks to yourself.
Yeah.
Remember that?
A few too many. I think my ribs started feeling like it. They weren't doing too good after that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't play
um,
baseball anymore, but I definitely feel how rigid I am, particularly in the spine region when it comes to rotating, trying to golf and stuff. Like I don't really have that range of mobility anymore.
yeah, I think going from not hitting a baseball for like 4 years to you coming down and then me hitting, basically doing one of your full like practices, I felt it for a week.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's shift gears to like what's in store for our future. I mean, fast forward from 2021. I mean, we're friends since then. We've always kind of made it a point to see each other at meet, stuff like that. A lot of things have happened since then, but where are we at now in terms of what you're looking at for the future?
Honestly, right now I'm just trying to get healthy again. My body's not loving me. I had surgery 4.5 months ago on my elbow from the fully tearing my UCL and other ligaments in my elbow and dislocating it. So I had Tommy John repair surgery and they put a ulnar brace in my elbow. So I don't have my range of motion back at all yet. Well, I'm about 10 degrees from extension, so I can't do any weight bearing movements yet. Um, and so I'm kind of shifting gears to the coaching side for at least the time being, maybe for good. Um, it's it keeps me in the sport. That's mainly why I'm doing it because I just love the sport. And if I can't do it, then I want to help other people succeed um, in the way that I wanted to, or the way I did, but the way I wanted to continue succeeding. Now I can shift gears and help the next generation, or even the future. Um, damn, even the current generation on how to get there, international meets or national championships, whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 16 years of experience in the sport, and what you've competed internationally at every single level, right? Youth, junior,
Yeah,
senior. So you've got it, you've got it all in your bag. So it's good to see you kind of applying that and trying to spread the love, spread the information and knowledge of weightlifting. And so yeah, with that, you're pushing some new content. It's just a little bit more than training videos now, right?
it's a little different. I'm trying to get a little bit more educational. I'm taking, like you said, all the 16 years of experience that I've had and kind of taking bits and pieces from every coach I've had because I've had not a bunch of coaches, but a lot of mentors in the sport, and then a few coaches that have really shown me the path of how I want to treat things. And there's some good, some bad, but I'm trying to blend it all together of like, this is how I would want to train if I were trying to continue, and just giving people the chance to like, I guess, see the movements that I did when I was trying to get good, or movements I would implement now if I could, or just a bunch of different things that I feel like are necessary in the sport right now.
And so if people want to find you, where can they see that on Instagram?
It'll be Catapult Strength Systems on Instagram.
All right, yeah.
I'm
So
trying to do
people,
YouTube a little bit, but not not a bunch yet.
gotcha. Yeah, so people check that out. It's kind of, I guess, what I'm getting into too. I've been posting just training sessions on YouTube. I mean, kind of the same thing in a different sense. Like for me, there's two things that kind of went into like dedicating filming my training sessions. One was to keep me like accountable, to not like skipping sets, warming up, stuff like that. Just like knowing that if I'm gonna put this out there, like I've got to be at my best on that given day. But also too, like, like we said before, like the sport is kind of booming and, spreading and stuff. There's not a lot of people putting out just like dedicated training content from the day to day, I think. And for people to, I guess, see like the fluctuations and, having good weeks, bad weeks, high percentage days, low percentage days and stuff. I'm being as transparent as I can with that and not putting out the days that I have a deload and kind of letting people see what that looks like and what goes
Mhm.
into that as far as like warming up. And yeah, obviously you and I starting this podcast too. It's just kind of another route for people to be able to see from us and hear from athletes like you and I myself. So yeah, anything else you want to
Yeah,
add
and
to
I think
that?
it's good. I think it's good with your YouTube content too, where you can humanize yourself because you are an elite athlete. Like people can watch your Instagram videos and it's all sunshine and rainbows of how great training is, but now you can be very honest about it. Like you're gonna miss sometimes. You might miss lighter weights than you want to sometimes. Like it's normal. Even if you're an elite athlete, you're gonna miss weight sometimes, whether it's a max or if it's 80%. Those days happen. You're still human and you can come back from it.
For sure. Yeah, and just kind of like not that there's a discrepancy in what's being put out there, but definitely filling in those gaps with stuff and providing you could say ethical weightlifting content out there.
Hmm.
So yeah, let's get into some recent news in weightlifting. This week in weightlifting, we have new weight classes announced now. for 2026 going into the Olympics. There's a lot of shifting in the men's weight classes. I think only one women's weight class changed.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on, let's start with the men's weight classes?
Man, we just need to figure it out. There's, we've changed 3 times in since May what the weight classes are. We started prepping for nationals with 98 on our mind, and it
Hmm.
was great. And if you're cutting from 102 or if you're trying to bulk, it's like, where do I go? So I knew a few people that were trying to bulk to 98 that ended up having to cut down. And then for me, cutting down to 98 was pretty easy. And then I had to cut 4 extra kilos. And then we obviously have the big gap between what was 94 to 110, which is now 95 to 110, but it's not any better. You get 2 more pounds.
Hmm.
Uh, I just, one, I don't understand the gap. I understand that we have less, um, less weight classes available for us, but I think when that's a factor, we can kind of cut out some of them, and the more dominant, not even dominant, but just population dominant weight classes should take more control. You don't really see a bunch of 50, 60 kilo men walking around, but
Hmm.
you see a lot of guys in the 200 pound, 185 pound range. But now we're kind of smushing them together. Then you have the big, drastic 242 now. That's just, you don't see that many of those. But there's a lot of guys that are the 215, 220, 225 range that are just kind of screwed right now. You either have to lose a bunch of weight or you got to gain a bunch of weight. And it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, so kind of 2 points there. One, we started out the year 2025 with 96 for you and I kind of being that weight class. And then they
Hmm.
changed, they announced new weight classes, and the weight class around my body weight goes to 98. So 2 kilos more. And then it gets announced that for the Olympics, they're only taking five weight classes. How do they spread things out the best? They changed the 98 weight class to 94. And I guess they're rethinking things again and they changed that to 95. So it's just a lot of changing. And second point too, like you look at the gap between 60 to 65 and then you look at 95 to 110, like you've got so many more guys, or you're covering a lot more people in that 95 to 110 range compared to 60 to 65. Like there should be a
Hmm.
little something splitting that up, I guess. But I mean, the change from 94 for those who got situated into it now to 95 isn't that big of a deal. But even looking at 88, the weight class in that range went down to 85. I feel like that's a pretty drastic change.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Well, I guess you have 75 to 85 now. So the 79s are kind of in a pickle. Where do I go down? Do I go up? And we have two really good American 79s right now that are kind of up in the air of what they'll do. You can kind of assume what one of them might do, but the other one you don't really know.
Mhm. At least
And
they
I'm
gave
not
us a
gonna,
little more notice this time because they changed 98 to 94 like 6 weeks
4 weeks
before the weight
out.
classes officially
Yeah.
changed. But now we've
Yeah.
got until August 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 70 or 65 is the lightest Olympic class. 60 is still going to be a competitive weight class, just not for the Olympics. So
Mhm.
60, 65, 75, even between 65 and 75, like there's a lot of guys in that range that have to make a decision if you're a 71 lifter. And then, like you said, between 75 and 85, you've got 79s that have to make a decision or kind of commit to something at this point, like even 10 months from now, 8, 10 months from now, like that's not a lot of time to recompose your body to a new weight class if it's a 10 pound change. So,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, but
having 22-pound gaps between weight classes just isn't ideal, but we
mhm,
kind of know our situation. We know that we only have five weight classes, so you kind of have to spread them out a little bit more. But I think when it comes to that 95 to 110 gap, if we were going to change 94, why wouldn't we bring it back to 98? I guess. Like, if we, because why change it if you're going to just up it a kilo, is my thing. Just evening it out to 65, 75, 85, 95. Like, that's all they did.
Yeah.
That's the only real change they made. Um, and it just kind of leaves people in bad situations of some people are going to try and make a drastic cut like I did for 94, and then other people are going to be sitting there in a really light 110 or a really light 85 because they just don't have the ability to bulk that quick.
Yeah, and just kind of putting it in perspective without like using Uri as an example, someone who is a 95 kilo example of that is Nathan Dameron. Compare him to obviously Colby Ferguson, like just the
Big
drastic
difference.
change in body type and physiques and stuff, and you've got everything in between that have to make a pretty binary decision to go up or go
Mhm.
down. It's tough. It's interesting, but I mean, I think just us as humans kind of evolving, like you see it in the NFL, like the average offensive lineman 40 years ago was 260 pounds, and now you look at the average offensive lineman in 2025 and they're 315 pounds. Like we're just evolving as humans. We're getting bigger and stronger, and I think weightlifting's still kind of stuck in the past with that. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'd
yeah, I
agree with
mean,
that.
women's weight classes, I don't think there's really any notable changes with that. I think one change was it 63 to 61.
Yeah, it was something like that. I think that was the weight class that changed.
Yeah, just because they're contesting six weight classes and they had to even things out again. But I mean, I have heard some debate just on like social media and stuff about, same thing as the men, like the women's kind of higher end weight classes aren't exactly representative of like who we are as a population. There's a lot of people, a lot of women between, 75 and 90 kilos, but there's not many weight classes to represent them. I think they're kind of facing those same
Yeah,
issues.
I've seen that argument too, where we need a 90-kilo women's weight class or a something around there, and I don't disagree. I think we could use a lot more weight classes, but I think where people steer the wrong way is we're all kind of in the same boat. Like we didn't, IWF is not choosing how many weight classes we get. Like where they don't want to screw us. But they're kind of put in a situation where it's what makes the most sense for what we've been given. Would it
Hmm.
be awesome if we had 10 weight classes at the Olympics? Yeah, but it's cut in half. So we're gonna have to, I guess, do what we gotta do.
Just got to play the
It's
cards that you're dealt, pretty much.
yeah, if you're trying to make the Olympics, you gotta make some decisions. And I'm not saying someone that's competing local trying to go national should cut a bunch of weight. That's not at all what I'm saying. But if you're trying to go from making a senior Pan Am team to making the Olympics, you're going to have to make some choices of, all right, we've got 2.5 years of qualification. I'm going to make this cut. And then after this 2.5 years, I'm going to get back on that bulk. But if you want to make it, you got to do some things that you might not want to do, but you might need to.
Right. I still think like current day when the IWF announced the new weight classes, it really seems like they jumped the gun. I feel like I kind of sniffed this out from how this could end up being like they announced new weight classes before even knowing what's going to be contested at the Olympics. Like you're
Hmm.
making a premeditated decision without like knowing what you have to work with. And I think that's kind of a mistake on their part, and they're shifting things around, having a lot of people changing weight classes and stuff kind of in response to that. So yeah, I think they really jumped the gun on it at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
we qualification doesn't start until next year, and we could have taken the time from, I guess, when the 98 kind of weight classes got announced. I know they've changed again, but when those got announced, we had so much time to sit and think and sit and wait on what we're being given of how many weight classes we were getting, things like that,
But at
that
that point, we still
we
didn't
didn't
know.
have to, yeah, we didn't have to announce anything yet. We could have finished this year 96, 102, 109, whatever, and then gone into next year, January 1st or whatever it is, with the new ones, knowing, all right, we have five weight classes. We're gonna make these ones, but take the couple extra months to really think on it. But I think they didn't pull numbers out of nowhere, but we've kind of changed them a bunch to make you think that they're pulling them out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so that change goes into effect next August 1st, and I guess you've got to think that after that, that's when those events start to matter for the Olympics, right? What will be the first event after that, I think, would be the World
Worlds.
Championships in China, I believe. It's in
Yeah.
October. So,
Hmm.
I mean, we're under a year from now until that whole, I guess, the quad now starts to
Yeah, the
begin for
quad starts
people.
soon.
Yep. All right, let's get into this week's ethical weightlifting take. I know you've got a hot one. I'm interested to hear what you're trying to spill on us here.
Uh, so as most of us know, the enhanced games is on its way. We've got a couple pretty big named weightlifters that are doing it, and the event starts in May of 2026, so right before our quad starts. But we haven't really seen too many weightlifters get announced yet. We're seeing a bunch of track athletes or swimmers and things like that getting announced, but we're not seeing the big named weightlifters that you maybe assumed would join for the amount of money. Um, do it because they realize that it's kind of a, I don't want to compare it to golf, but it's like the live golf versus the PGA. There's a lot more history backing the IWF and the Olympics than something like the enhanced games that was kind of just pulled out of nowhere. Um, I don't necessarily see it succeeding. I see it maybe this one year we'll see it happen and people are going to be like, numbers aren't that different. Or maybe these people don't improve the world records like they're expecting them to. And it's going to tank. Maybe not after this year, maybe not after next year, but it's not going to be one of those from 1896 to now kind of sports. It'll be 5 to 10 years max, and then we'll never hear from it again.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some sports having some pretty big hype around. I know swimming, they've already set some world records and stuff.
Hmm.
But I mean, if you're gonna advertise a enhanced weightlifting or an enhanced Olympic Games, essentially, you got to have all the sports in there. But I think that brings up an interesting point with the money involved and like the athletes who have decided to do it. I mean, if you look within weightlifting, there's not really many people from Europe or Asia doing it. Either, they haven't got enough traction for it there, but maybe they're getting paid enough within their own federations to stay within the IWF. I mean, you got to look on this side of the globe, I guess, like what's going on with the sport. So it kind of opens up the discrepancies there, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the countries that have joined, Canada and the United States, our funding system for the Olympic team isn't the greatest. But if you look at Bulgaria or a Uzbekistan or a China, countries like that, they're government funded. They make money through the government instead of through a governing body, um, which is completely different. So their monthly income or yearly income is going to be double, triple, whatever it is, more than what our greatest athlete makes. Then you're looking at the risk of losing sponsorships if you're an American athlete or a Canadian athlete or whatever it is, European, that maybe a Nike or Adidas or whatever it is won't really want to work with you if you're promoting the use of PEDs. It's not something that most people want to be honest about, and then now you're making a event that everybody's doing it.
Right. I mean, look at, for example, like Carlos Nassar within Bulgaria, like you said, like he might be making, he might be very well off. I know he's pretty well idolized within Bulgaria, being their Olympic champ and kind of like their heralding athletic king from that standpoint. Like,
Hmm.
for someone like him, like if he's got everything that he needs with where he's at right now, like he has everything else to lose, I guess, by joining the enhanced games. So,
Yeah, and I mean that's another thing too. You have the legacy of being an Olympic champion in some of these countries, the smaller ones. Like you look at Greece, and I mean I was in Greece with Pyrrhos for Junior Worlds, and I was in the airport with him and just walking the city, and everybody knew who he was. You not only have the money involved, um, whatever they were making. I don't know what people in other countries make in weightlifting, but you also have you're there, LeBron James or Steph Curry in those countries when you win a gold medal. They don't have the professional sports leagues that we have here that would make us more popular if we didn't. Um, they have weightlifting and Olympic sports there that are taking dominance over any other sports league. So Carlos, he is not only a household name, but he is going to have a legacy for even after he's gone. Um, Him moving to the enhanced games or something like that would damage his legacy because Olympic gold medals mean a whole lot more than the money he's making.
yeah, I mean, he's kind of like their LeBron James of things. Like LeBron James goes
Oh
off
yeah.
to do some enhanced basketball league, and that's going to throw a lot of outrage, sponsorships,
Yeah.
endorsements, stuff like that. It's not worth it. I mean, I'm kind of just interested to see what comes of it, I guess. I'm not
Oh, I'm excited for that for sure. I want to see what the numbers are for
right.
sure.
Yeah, I'm anticipating that, I guess, looking forward to it
Hmm.
when that does happen. But very, very interesting. And I would say probably a pretty ethical weightlifting take in today's day and age. Um, yeah, my this week's take for myself is taking too many supplements. Not something that we can elaborate too much on that, but um, I mean, I just having a nutrition educator, a bachelor's in nutrition myself, and kind of just knowing what it takes to fuel your body. I hear a lot of stories just like in drug testing about how long it takes for some people to fill out the forms on just how many supplements they take. Some people taking 20 to 30 supplements. And I mean, at that point, I feel like it's a little more detrimental to your body taking that much stuff and having such drastic imbalances for the amount of like the percent of your daily value for certain things. It's just ultimately, I don't think necessary. Like you and I could probably agree on a couple of supplements that every weightlifter, anyone that's an athlete should take, and creatine, some sort of stimulant to get you going for a workout. And I mean, that's kind of your bread and butter right there. I don't know if there's anything else you'd recommend. Fish oil, multivitamin.
Yeah, I'm a fish oil guy for sure. When I was taking a lot of ibuprofen, I wasn't feeling too great, but then I flipped it for fish oil and I felt a whole lot better. So I would say the creatine and fish oil and the pre-workout type supplement is probably the three that are like, I guess, necessary. You add
Right.
in like the other things, and especially like you said with the USADA like forms, I don't think a lot of people are going to know kind of what goes into a USADA drug test, but when you when USADA shows up to your house or if you get pulled in competition, they hand you this iPad or they have the iPad and you tell them every single thing you've taken and what is it, the past month or past 2 weeks
I
or
think it's the
something like
past
that?
week. Yeah. Past week,
Yeah.
something that you have taken like regularly up until then.
So unless you just have your basic stack sitting in front of you, you might forget some stuff. And it's not like you're gonna pop for fish oil if you don't say it. But if you limit the number of things you're taking, it kind of reduces the risk. And also having a third party tested everything is very important. But
Big time,
if
yeah.
you can just have your big three, like you don't really have to think about much else rather than having 20 or 30 supplements that might work, but probably not.
Yeah.
Just
And
take the
I
ones
think
that
I'm
matter.
just, yeah, I think I'm just, I push for if anyone ever asks me for supplements to take, I always push just for a balanced diet of protein, um, quick carbs, fiber, and then your fruits and vegetables just to cover all of your bases. And then on top of that, like you might have some dietary restrictions. Some people might not eat fish, stuff like that. And that's where the fish oil comes into play. Creatine, you can't necessarily get that from your diet. And
Yeah.
as high of amounts that have been recommended and that have been, tried and tested with all of this research and all these studies and stuff that are promoting the efficacy of it. But I mean, other than that, like you almost really don't know what you're putting in your body, I guess. And so I always just push for a balanced diet
Yeah.
and just let your body do the work.
Yeah, it's much easier to eat what you need rather than trying to replace it with a bunch of things
Yeah,
like
it can get
the
expensive
protein
too.
powders and the carb drinks and stuff. Like, cool, you can drink your protein and your carbs, but also a nice steak and potatoes does a pretty good job too. I mean, if you
Yeah.
need to add more into it,
I mean,
then take a protein shake, but
look back at the gladiators of, 1,000 years ago and the sculptures of them and how they
yeah.
look, and they didn't have any supplements to take.
They didn't have Fruity Pebbles protein shakes. They had
I mean,
meat.
I will say it's a really good flavor, but that's besides the
Yeah, it's a good
point.
flavor. It's a great
But
flavor. I'm just saying. The
yeah, I
steak's
mean,
good too.
you can just get everything you need from your diet, and I'm always gonna promote that from my side of things. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, let's get into our spotlight weightlifter of this week. I mean, first episode, first time we're doing this. I feel like there's only one person that we can do, and that's Carlos Nassar. What are your observations? What do you think about, the way he trains and just everything in general?
I think there's no debate that he's the best weightlifter in the world right now. I think anybody can agree on that. Um, we all know his technique isn't perfect. We have issues with that, and I would never walk up to somebody in a gym and say you should lift like Carlos. But I would also say you need to walk with his confidence for sure. He's the most confident weightlifter I've ever seen, and I I don't know if it was his first international meet, but I witnessed him compete in person when he was 14 or 15 years old, and his movement has been perfected the way he moves. It has not changed at all since 2019 Youth Worlds when I first saw him. If you look at videos from then, it's just heavier weight. It looks exactly the same. So if you can perfect the way you move like he has, who's to say it doesn't work? Because clearly he's doing something. He's breaking world records every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
But yeah.
he's someone that has found something that works with him and has just repeated it time and time after again. I mean, if you've consumed any of his content, documentaries that are out there, I mean, he talks about his former coach and how he trained, and since he passed, how he's kind of kept that legacy going. And I mean, it works for him. He's very intuitive with how he trains. I mean, he's putting up some world record numbers. I mean,
And I
there's no
mean
one
there's
else that trains like
videos
him.
I saw it was probably a weightlifting house video, but they were talking about how if Carlos has any pain, he takes the day off and he just gets like physical therapy instead. Or he kind of, I wouldn't say picks and chooses his workouts, but like if snatches hurt one day, he might clean a jerk or something of that nature where he's very good at auto regulation with his body, which is just basically knowing when to stop, knowing, okay, this day is not going to be good. Let me just move it to the next kind of thing. Where I feel like a lot of people get steered the wrong way, where it's like, we have to tough it out. We have to do this and do that 24/7, when sometimes it's just maybe today isn't the day. And I think Carlos is really perfected. Like, I know when I feel good and I'm going to push it when I feel good. But if I don't, we're just going to cut it short.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to verbatim, you know, take what someone does for programming and apply it to yourself. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, he's someone who really just does all of the basics and he does them all 100% the right way. And he does everything from the PT side of things. Like he's got his physician team or his what is it, his brother is his like PT basically works on
I
him
think so. Yeah.
every morning, every night in between training sessions and stuff. So, I mean, he's obviously got those resources, and to be at that level, you need those resources. But he just does the basics, right, and day in day out, he shows why he's the best.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody or not everybody has what he has available for recovery and basically having a uh, quick call to a bunch of people to be like, I need help with this. Like, most Americans can't follow that template and be like, this is how I'm going to train. Like, it's impossible.
Mhm.
We just don't have access to all the stuff he has. So don't try and do what he does. We're instead of taking a day off, maybe drop your percentages. Um, I wouldn't say if you're not feeling good to just walk out and leave the gym, drop it down a little bit because he's mastered what he's doing, but most Americans don't have it all figured out yet. Even the best of the best, we can't be doing that.
Yeah, and even when you saw him in 2019 at what he was 14 years old probably, um,
Yeah,
even
I
at
think
that
so.
point, what the form and the numbers he was putting out there was just an accumulation of tens of thousand reps, even to that point too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in it for a long time and he has perfected pretty much just every asset of his game, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, he's won on all three levels, and not very many people can say that. He won that youth worlds, he's won junior worlds, he's won senior worlds, and he's won the Olympics. There's no one can tell him what to do.
Right.
So, I'm not gonna say his technique is horrible, but just don't follow it verbatim what he's doing. Just,
Yeah.
I guess, watch it while he's here, because we've seen legends come and go, and he's stuck around for a long time, but just really enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah. Hopefully he can keep putting together for a while because I think you and
Yeah.
I both know when it comes to Bulgarian weightlifters, they're kind of the running backs of the NFL. They don't last very long in the sport just with how they train, but it seems like
Yeah.
just from the content that's been put out for him that he's going to be here for a while. So, looking
Yeah, I
forward
think
to that.
he's gonna try and probably break the record of how many gold medals we can win in an Olympics. I think Pyrrhus needs to watch out a little bit. I know it's a little soon for that because he's only won one, but he's also 20 or 21 when he won.
Mhm.
A little bit sooner than what Pyrrhus did, and he's only gonna get better. So it'll be very exciting to see in 15 years or however many years until he can do a fourth one, just
Yep.
how great he's going to be.
Yeah. And just kind of stating the obvious, going over his numbers for if you've been living under a rock and don't know, his best snatch in competitions 188 at 96 kilos. I mean, he wasn't really a full 96 at that time, but still, even for a number for a guy of his weight, that's 188 hasn't been a number that's been touched for a couple of decades, I have to say. And then 229 clean and jerk, I think he did at that same meet as a 96. I mean, same thing, just incredible
Yeah.
numbers. I mean, he's rumored
And I
to
mean,
run 230 in training too, but like,
yeah, in comparison to he's winning the 102 weight class in the 89s. Like he's just miles ahead of everybody. Um, so his numbers, he's probably not going as big as he could. You see people in other countries that you'll see training clips from 10 years ago that no one's ever heard of. And it's like Lou snatching 180. No one knew he snatched 180 until a couple years ago. And then I feel like we're going to see a lot of those Carlos videos in years in the future of who knows if he's snatched 195 yet or 200. He could have, but he just hasn't needed to yet. Um, but can he? Probably.
Yeah, very interesting stuff to come out of the Carlos Nassar camp. Let's switch gears
Yeah.
now to this week's lifter you should know. And who I've picked out for this is again another very technically strong, another technically proficient lifter. Is Albert Ian de los Santos out of the Philippines. He's a 71 kilo lifter. Another guy who's got a decision to make with the new weight classes, but he's a pretty skinny guy. He'll probably grow into the 75 kilo weight class just fine. But
Yeah.
that he's someone that I think you guys should know. He set a junior world record recently at Worlds with the 185 clean and jerk. What are your thoughts on Albert Ian de los Santos?
I mean, just watching that lift, he looked like he had 10 more kilos in him. Uh, Probably did. He, I had never heard of him before that. Um, I don't know if he was around, but seeing that lift because I did watch that session, it was crazy. Um, he's definitely going to be on the watch list for the Olympic gold in the next couple years, I think. Because he's young, he's a junior. Do you know how old he is? Is he a
I want to say 19 or 20 years old. I'm not sure if he has another year as a junior, but I mean, if he's putting up those numbers, he'll be just
yeah.
fine as a senior.
Yeah, even then, like he's not even nearly at his peak yet, and these numbers are already looking very easy. Um, and his technique is smooth. Like I don't really see much issues with it. Obviously, everybody can change something. Not everybody moves perfect, but I feel like he's another one of those guys that's just like, in a way, kind of perfected how he moves with, if it's moving that fast, clearly he's doing something right for himself.
Yeah, I think a lot is going to come with experience for him. He's at least to the weightlifting scene, he's pretty new. He's very young.
Hmm.
If there's one thing holding him back, it's his snatch. I think he did 135 to pair with that 185 clean and jerk. So I mean, you see it time and time again with a lot of new, very strong lifters that are successful in the clean and jerk. But he's only going to grow his snatch, and he's only going to keep adding kilos to his total. Um,
For sure.
but he's also very well coached. I know he's coached by Julius Irvin out of the Philippines. He coached see who was the Philippines' most recent gold medal.
I know who you're talking about, but I couldn't tell you the name.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my
Should
tongue.
I?
Oh no, I got Highland Diaz.
Okay.
Yep, she was a 59. She won gold in Tokyo 2020,
Yep.
2021. Um, but yeah, very, very well coached. He's got the right people in his corner to be able to succeed. So he's a name I think we
Yep.
should look out for, in these years to come out of the 71 kilo weight class. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
for sure. All right, let's get into the last segment here for the show. Is our podium picks. Today's category is caffeinated beverages. I'm excited to hear your side of things on where and why you picked these beverages. Let's start with
Hmm.
your bronze medal.
My bronze medal would be, I'm going to give a specific place that most of you probably have no clue where it is, but it's called Scooters, and it's a coffee shop. It's like a little drive-in coffee shop, but they have these amazing nitro cold brews that for every morning session, I got one. They're like $7, and I felt like I was draining my account every time, but it is the greatest coffee I've ever had. You can do it either black and white, where it's like you get some cream in there, but if you get it just straight black, dude, it's incredible. And I think I hit my 220 jerk off of a nitro cold brew, so it's proven to work.
There you go. And in your silver and gold position,
Okay, my silver is a rain beverage, but it's the sour gummy worm. It is my favorite because I just love gummy worms. Um, when I was growing up, I was eating a lot of sour candy during my training. Uh, just, quick sugar. That's why I was doing it, not because I loved it so much, but that just reminds me of that, and it tastes just like them. And if you see me at a meet, you'll probably catch me drinking one of those.
that's fair enough. And your top pick.
Top pick. This is a recent one, and I actually had one not too long ago. The Welch's Grape Ghost. That com you combine that with like something peanut butter, it is the greatest combo I've ever had. Like if you get a, I don't know, a peanut butter protein bar or something like that, it tastes just like the grape juice with a little carbonation. And I love grape juice, so it's a risky one because it's so good.
Yeah, I've had all of those. I rank things a little differently personally for my podium picks. In my bronze spot, I guess no specific flavor. If I had to pick a flavor, I'd probably go with what you're picking in the Rain energy drink, the sour gummy worm. It's between that and it's the orange creamsicle one.
Oh, orange
Um,
creams. Yeah, that
yeah,
one's good.
that's probably my strongest caffeinated beverage on there. I try not to do too much caffeine, but 300 milligrams definitely packs a punch. That's my three
Yeah, it
spot.
does.
My silver position is the C4, not like the pre-workout, but the actual canned beverages. I don't know. I've just every single time I go to the gas station and get an energy drink, I feel like I just gravitate towards the C4, and
Yeah.
specifically between the grape or the watermelon Jolly Rancher flavor. I mean that's the top energy drink I have on that list.
Like the grape popsicle one.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
that
that one's
popsicle one's pretty
fire.
good. Yep. I mean, some people say that the C4 energy drinks give them the beta alanine itches or the tingles. I don't get that. I'm probably my
Yeah.
tolerance is high for that, but yeah. So my gold spot is just a cold brew. You could throw a nitro cold brew in there for sure. I make my own cold brews, but I mean that's kind of a daily for me is a coffee in the morning. So I got to put that at my number one spot. I mean you guys can debate that however you guys want, but that's where it stands for myself. Yeah, that'll wrap things up for this first edition of the Ethical Weightlifting Podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and if you're here, make sure to check out Catapult Weightlifting Systems or Catapult Strength Systems.
Yep, there we
There
go.
you go. Don't mess that up. And then also subscribe. I just got 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so that's pretty cool. But we'll see
Let's
you guys.
go.
Yes, sir. We'll make this a weekly thing. We'll switch things up for these ending segments, but yeah, we'll do this every week. We'll see you guys next week.